Chevy Silverado Crew Cab 4x4 loaded for only $259 per month. Your trade will never be worth more than it is today at Matt LaFontaine Chevy GMC in Grayling. Together, let's drive. See us at MattLaFontaineAutomotive.com or call us at 855-763-1600.
The new Iron Pig on Old 27 South across from Trail Number 7 and Otsego Lake has created an amazing new dinner menu with all your smokehouse favorites, plus a great selection of seafood throughout Lent. The new location is even serving breakfast on the weekends. Everything at both Iron Pig locations is made fresh in-house. Enjoy Iron Pig's happy hour specials. Welcome to the brand new Iron Pig. Find the Iron Pig Smokehouse on Facebook.
Good morning, Northern Michigan, and welcome to Friday Faceoff here on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. Jerry Coyne, Rich Calkins live in studio. Rich, the madness has begun. Michigan avoiding an upset that almost everybody predicted would happen.
They did. A lot of the so-called experts were talking about this team that Michigan was playing and how tough it was going to be. Michigan played really well. I think had a little bit of the turnover bug for a while, which has been the bugaboo for Michigan this year, but were able to persevere and coming off that emotional win during the Big Ten tournament. And
Michigan got screwed.
And not
totally freaking screwed.
Well, that's what I was going to get to. I think the committee had already made up their minds before the Big Ten tournament was done what they were going to do, and I thought for sure Michigan would be at least one seed, if not two seeds higher.
They beat Wisconsin twice. And Wisconsin was a 3 seed, played in Denver.
Yes.
Against a much easier opponent. They played Montana. Instead, they get the 5 seed and play a San Diego team that won 30 games.
Yeah, I really think that the Big Ten does, because they play so late in the day on Sunday, that they absolutely don't get rewarded for whoever wins the championship, because they already predetermined where these teams are going to line up. I think they need to move their finals to the Saturday.
They can't do it. It's all about TV.
It's just yeah. And it's just it's horrible because again, the teams that Michigan, the Marylands, all of that.
Hold on a second. We're going to go right on the air.
And all of that, and Michigan did not get rewarded for that big championship that they won.
Well, Rich, joining us on the telephone is the Dean of College Basketball Coaching now, Greg Campy from Oakland University. Coach, good morning. How are you?
Good morning. How's everybody doing today?
Well, we're a little bleary-eyed from watching basketball from, noon to midnight. But other than that, it's a great time to be a basketball fan.
It sure is. It's the best. Well, for me this year, it's the worst week of the month, or the worst week of the year. But normally it's the greatest week of the year. So I know what you're saying.
Well, Coach, obviously last year, so much excitement and attention on the program, beating Kentucky and going into overtime in the second round. And I know the season didn't end up the way you wanted it this year, although into overtime with Robert Morris, I thought you guys were going to do one of your typical backdoor entries into the tournament.
Right. Yeah, we by the end of the year, we were a really good basketball team. We couldn't hold a 3-point lead with 20 seconds to go, and got a little bit of a shaky call, but still had a chance and didn't do it. So, yeah, I was really disappointed. That's why it's been a tough week, because I thought we should be there, because we had 11 new guys this year, and we really grew as a team. I was really, really pleased with the year and how it finished. But we didn't, it's hard to get there. It's so hard to get there. That's why you have to enjoy it when you're there.
Yeah, and Coach, when you have, like you said, 11 new members, almost an entirely new team, with that, it takes time for them to grow. And later in the season, as you mentioned, they really started to come together.
Yeah, my two bigs were really good. We started to shoot the ball better. My point guard play wasn't up to where we needed to be. We've got to get better at that. But by the end, I thought we were a really good team. So you have to be happy with that. Just sad that you couldn't quite get there.
Coach, how many players do you think you're going to retain? I mean, it's kind of be a little difficult with NIL. I know that was a fear last year. You did lose 2 great players to the portal, bringing in 11 new guys, transfers and freshmen. So, did you already do some of your exit interviews, or where does that sit?
Yeah, I'm right now meeting, because this is a very big recruiting time too. In fact, I'm getting on a plane to fly out to Kansas. To the Junior College National Championship starts tomorrow.
Oh.
And so I'm going to be there for a week. And so I've had the couple meetings with a couple of the players on who we're going to retain. The young men that we know that can go in the portal and get $300,000, $400,000, $500,000, which I can't give them. So
Right.
The conversation now going on: how much can I get them, and why should they stay here instead of, stay and play and let's go win a championship? We came so close. All the selling points that you want to make to your guys. So I've got 3 of those guys that I must retain. 3 starters that I think I have to keep.
Okay.
I've met with the 3 of them. I think 2 of them are on board for staying. I think you never know until they give you the yes, but I felt good. And 1 is probably going to go test the portal just to see how much he can get. So I'm still in conversation with him. Hopefully, when I get back from this trip, we'll sit down one last time before he decides. And I'm hoping to keep all 3 of those. And then once I know I have those 3, I know what that's going to cost me. I know how much I have left to be able to give to everybody else on the team to keep them. Then I'll make that next step. It's almost like you're a general manager of an NBA team now instead of a college thing. It's kind of crazy, actually.
Well, those bigger programs now all have general managers, right? It's that's how big a business it is. And Coach, I appreciate you coming on. I texted you a couple of days ago about doing the program, and it just occurred to me, can't you just get like a big tip jar and stick it in the men's grill at Oakland Hills? I mean, come on.
Don't think I haven't texted all my boys to tell them what I'm doing right now, and any help they can give me, I'll take.
There's a couple of your golfing buddies. I'm sure you've been putting the bite on a lot.
Oh yeah, oh for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Coach, with that huge win last year against Kentucky and all of that, at least when you're recruiting some new guys around the country, they know what Oakland University is, and it gets you at least into the meeting room to talk to these kids.
Absolutely. I mean, they all remember Golke, and everybody's talking about Golke right now. The
Right.
tournament this week with the tournament ads, they show him all the time. They show Oakland's win. So yeah, we're getting another hit on that right now, and it's helping. It's getting me indoors, but it's still going to come down to, how much they want and what they can get other places, and it's going to be hard to beat somebody that can give them $200,000 to $400,000, $500,000. I mean, I've raised enough money through my friends and that we can give them. They're not going to be poor coming here.
Right.
But it's still, I can't. They're not going to be the richest of rich either. So
yeah,
I feel pretty good that we're going to be able to put a competitive roster together and that we could be really good next year.
Coach, the revenue share program, does that start next year?
Well, April 7th, the court opinion is supposed to be rendered.
Oh, okay.
And so if it is approved the way that the lawyers and everybody have met and come up with this plan, and if the judge approves the plan on April 7th, then revenue sharing will come in starting, I think it's June or July 1st. And schools have the right to opt in or opt out. So because there are a whole new set of rules and guidelines behind this. And Oakland has decided we are going to opt in because we want to be in the big, we want to be part of this. We want to be with the big boys. Some schools will decide to opt out, and then they won't be able to revenue share. They'll have to just go through collectives like they have, and the new set of rules won't apply to them. And I think those schools will get left on the wayside. I think 5 years from now, if you don't opt into this, you probably won't be a player in Division I athletics anywhere.
Yeah.
So yeah, that's coming. April 7th is the first big date, and then June 1st or July 1st. I can't remember which date it is.
Yeah, and a program like yourself where you don't, I mean, you are the basketball program is the the revenue generator at Oakland University, so I would imagine that you take the preponderance of the dollars there.
Yeah, I mean, we don't, there's a cap of $22 million, right?
Right.
We don't have that.
No,
I mean, it's not like we don't have football. We don't have an arena full of 16,000 every time we play, but we do have some that we'll be able to do. And yes, I'm going to be able to be. We're not going to be, like I said, we're not going to be the rich guy on the street, but we're also not going to be, living under a 10 either. We'll be somewhere in that old 1950s middle class family, right?
Hard working, blue collar, just the way you like it, right, Coach?
And searching for the American dream.
Yeah, Coach, 25 years ago when you were a coach, did you ever think it would kind of come down to this at this point with the talking dollars and what you can offer to kids and all of that?
No, it's just absolutely crazy. But it's if you go and complain about it, you're the bad guy, right?
Yeah.
Oh, coaches make money. Why shouldn't the players? And I'm still in the old school belief that a college education is worth something.
Sure.
I mean, I paid for my kids to go to school. I know what that costs.
Yeah.
And the education, but nobody's listening to me. They're all people have their hand. They think the kids should make money, and I believe they should too. I do believe there should be some type of revenue share. I've always believed that.
Sure.
But what it is right now is unsustainable. I mean, we're going to probably, my estimation is on Monday when the portal opens, we'll have between 3,000 and 3,500 kids in it.
Jeez.
And there's going to be 1,500 kids that are left behind. There's going to be 200 kids that become, get a really, really big payday, and then the rest of them are just going to be living with me in the middle class somewhere.
Well, and they couldn't end up in a better environment, Coach. They know the success that you've had, 4 or 5 trips to the tournament, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's what matters anymore. I think the people around them believe that, you need to get paid. So let's go get paid. I mean, I had a young man, this is a true story. I had a young man that we've been recruiting all year. Last Saturday, his team won. They're going to the Junior College National Championship. Okay. And after the game, I talked to him, in the arena there where they played, and he came up to me and shook my hand, and I said to him, okay, so when we're done next week, you're going to visit, right? We're one of your 5 visits. And he goes, Coach, you have to guarantee me $150,000 for me to commit to a visit.
To commit to a visit?
To commit to a visit.
Holy cow.
Not $150,000, and if you offer me that, I'm coming. It's $150,000 to commit to a visit. So what he's doing for his 5 visits is he's finding 5 schools that will, offer him $150,000. So now, once I know I've got that $150,000, I'll choose which is the best fit. Instead of
after I got $750,000 in my pocket, and then I'm going to figure out who's going to see.
Yeah.
Wow.
So it's
yeah, that's scary.
Yeah,
that's scary.
It's out of control.
Yeah.
And there are a lot of people out there though that would sit there and say, well, it should be this way. Kids should make this. It's
I don't know about
America, right? It's America.
Yeah.
I don't know about getting paid for visits.
Yeah.
That's the first I've heard that, although, when you say it in the way the Wild West of college athletics is, it's not surprising, right? I mean, the bigger example, the Bryce Underwoods of the world,
Sure.
When you have a couple billionaires running the NIL at U of M, it's easy to pony up an extra $25 million for Bryce to come in from, instead of going to LSU. So it's.
But we got to get it under control, and hopefully it will. And then there'll be there'll be contracts, there'll be collective bargaining, there'll be salary caps, there'll be everything. It'll become semi-pro sports, which, if that's where we're going, great. I still want to coach. I still want to be part of it, and I'll adapt.
Yeah, Coach, thanks for bringing that point up. We saw Coach K leave, and Nick Saban, and some of these coaches, Jay Wright, that just didn't want to put up with it. And I know you're not in those billions, millions and millions of dollars for athletes, but it still has changed everything that you've done. What makes you still get up every morning and go into the gym?
Well, Chuck Daly, when he was with the Pistons, used to work at, they practiced at Oakland, and he and I became, wouldn't say we're good friends because there was such a difference in age in that, but we were, I was more of a slappy, I guess. I liked to talk to him every day, listen to what he had to say. And he used to call himself a lifer, right?
Right.
I mean, I think that's in his book and all that kind of stuff. And, I've always I just admired that. I admired him that, he was a lifer, that it didn't matter. He was going to adapt, and he just wanted to coach.
Right.
And, when I was 22 years old, I was lucky enough to become a college basketball coach. And now I'm 69, and I still want to be one. And I'd like to be one until I'm 78 or 79. I'd like to do this another 8, 9, 10 years.
Okay.
So if I can hold on, I'm going to.
Yeah, and Coach, obviously when you talk about those thousands of kids hitting the transfer portal and all that, you obviously have to be assigning some of your assistant coaches to a certain group of those to see who of these kids could possibly come to Oakland University, because I can't imagine, Oakland's right now, the scouting department's real huge there, so your coach, your assistant coaches have to do a lot of that themselves along with you.
100%. There's, that's what we're in right now. I mean, it's the way it is going to be, and we're submerged in that. We pay a company that's involved in the analytics of the transfer portal.
Okay.
So
that makes sense.
Yeah.
Joe Blow goes into the transfer portal on Monday at 9 a.m., and by 10 a.m. I will have a full-blown report on him and a ranking. So, 1 to 100. And, if the rankings, they're not steadfast. I'm not going to recruit a 52 for sure. But if he's a 77, that's borderline on whether he could play in the Horizon League.
Sure.
We're gonna do our deep dive into him, and then the company also, they give me 10 deep dives. So,
okay.
Here are the 10 guys I'm really the most interested in, and I find that I get everything on them, from probably what they ate at breakfast that morning.
Coach,
So
we had a very interesting year in high school basketball here in the state of Michigan. How many kids have you looked at that you think are legitimate candidates to play at Oakland U as incoming freshmen?
You're not going to like this answer. 0.
Oh, boy.
We're not recruiting a high school kid at all. But
Wow.
we're going to go a couple years, and we're going to try a new model where we don't do that, because I don't want to be the Toledo Mud Hens. I don't want to be.
I understand.
Take this young man, and we've spent hours upon hours turning him into a player, and then he leaves and goes, somewhere else. I'm more interested in somebody else doing that, and I'm looking at. I don't think you can win in this day and age with freshmen, because most teams, the good teams, average 22. I mean, Auburn.
Yeah.
Their team this year is older. Their starting lineup's older than 6 NBA teams.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah, I saw that.
Yeah.
That is.
Yeah. So we're not going to win in the landscape of college basketball with freshmen. Now, I do think we'll get back to maybe a one a year, or 1 or 2. Yeah, I don't think you can take one, because you don't want one 18-year-old on your team. You need to have somebody
Yeah.
You need to have two 18-year-olds on your team. So,
Yeah.
but we're going to take our strategy is to take a 2-year hiatus from it, unless there's, if there's the next Trey Townsend coming along.
Sure.
His dad played for me, or
Right.
Yeah. So, yeah, I don't think high school coaches want to hear that. I know high school players don't want to hear it, but I just think that's how it's evolving right now, and we made a strategic decision, and we're going to go stick with it for a couple of years.
So maybe does that change scouting for like D2 players?
Yeah, right now there are 800 Division II players in the portal. 800.
Okay.
And the portal opens Monday for Division I.
Right.
So I'm figuring 2,500 Division I players will go in. So we're going to have about 3,500 kids in there, and we have looked at right now. There are 7 D2 players that we are doing dives into. We've taken a really hard look at, and we're doing. We haven't done the deep dive into them, but we're doing. My people are doing the dives, and then if we decide these are somebody that could help us, then we'll send it over to that company to find out everything we can about them.
Yeah.
Oh,
Coach, and Coach, you've had success with some D2 players coming up and playing for you guys, and
last
you
year.
know, if it, yeah, exactly.
Jack Golke.
Keep
Exactly.
working it, man. Keep working it.
Was Golke D2 or D3?
No, he was Hillsdale, so he was D2.
Okay, all right, yeah.
He was at Hillsdale.
Yeah, that's well, there you go. So and there's kids learning how to play college ball. I guess that makes a lot of sense when you hear it from your. Going back to the tournament, Coach, you played Michigan State. Obviously, you do every year. You're close with Coach Izzo. It seems like the team that you played is completely different than the team that's entering the tournament.
Yeah, they've grown.
Yeah.
They're a lot like us, and that they really grew as the year went on. He loves this team.
Yeah, he
is
does.
really enjoying coaching them. They come at you in waves. And I'll tell you why I think they're a Final Four team. I think they're a Final Four team because they're elite defensively.
They are.
They're elite rebounding, and they have elite coaching.
There
They've
you
got
go.
3 levels of elite. That's usually what you need to make a deep run in that tournament. And they got a good draw.
Yeah, they did. I agree with that.
They really got a good draw. It's so much about matchups that I think they're gonna be really good. Hey, I just thought of something too on that I think you would want to hear this and your viewers. That opt-in thing with some of the new rule changes. One of the new rule changes is we're only allowed 15 people on our roster.
Huh.
15. So that's a huge cut.
Yeah, it is.
And so when you talk about high school, you could take high school kids as walk-ons in the past, and I've had a ton. I mean, Blake Lampman was a walk-on. Trey Townsend was a walk-on.
Yeah. Wow.
You can't do that now.
God.
You can't have, come on, take a year.
Yeah.
Come in here, learn, see
Preferred
how good
walk-on.
Yeah.
That was. I mean, that was me. I mean, I was a walk-on out at UCLA. So, that's devastating.
Yes, and so that answer about high school kids, that was a moving factor in that. That was a really important piece in that decision, is that I'm not allowed to bring a kid in and redshirt him and just say practice every day. You'll still have 4 years left, and if you're good enough, we'll put you on scholarship. If not, I'll find you a scholarship in a D2 or a NAIA school. And we use that a lot. And I've had a lot of kids do that and end up playing for me.
Sure.
Of course.
Yeah.
Yeah. The I guess you could have never mind. I'm not even going to go there. Student managers are going to be a lot better players now.
Yeah, I've got 8
That's
student managers.
what everybody's thinking.
Yeah.
We've gotten a memo saying you can't do that, so it's going to be schools that have their practice facility where nobody's watching will be able to do that.
I just saw some footage. The Michigan State and Michigan student managers played in a game at Breslin before that game.
Right.
And I know, and I saw some footage of the game. It was a really competitive basketball game.
Yeah, those managers have gotten in there. They're doing that all over the country. Our managers, most everywhere we go, the night before the game, they go play a student manager game.
Yeah,
It's actually kind of cool.
I think it's super cool.
Yeah, I agree.
Yeah, Coach. I like State too. I have them in the Final Four in my bracket. I only lost one game yesterday, Rich.
Yeah, that's pretty good.
Only one?
Yeah.
You beat me. I lost 3.
I lost the Kansas game. That was it. I had McNeese State. Will Wade, that guy can coach, man.
Yeah, he can.
Yeah,
he sure can. But I thought High Point. That was I didn't take McNeese. I took High Point.
Yeah.
I just thought with all the stuff going on around McNeese that that they wouldn't win. But that proved me wrong.
They
didn't win.
That's a really good basketball team. I mean, they're very athletic. Who from yesterday? Any surprises? I mean, obviously, I know a lot of people thought Purdue, because they've lost a number of games coming out of the chute.
Yeah.
That was a popular pick.
I liked High Point. I thought they had a really good team. That's why I chose that. But no, I think it went pretty status quo. I think the only real nail biter, the only real, back and forth one was the Michigan game.
Right.
And they dodged a bullet. Boy, did they dodge a bullet.
Sure did.
Yeah. I mean, they had the same problem. Go ahead, Coach.
That kid missed a point-blank layup. I mean, just
point-blank
layup.
Yeah.
Would have put High Point up 1 with, 18 seconds to go or something.
They missed 2 of those, actually. One a couple minutes before that, too. You got to think what Dusty May has done there. It's not surprising when you think about what he did at FAU. That there's another kid that can really coach.
Oh, there's no question about that. But I will say this, and this is not criticism in any way. It's life, and it's the sports, and it's what makes sports so great. But they've won 13 games. It's an NCAA record. 13 games of 4 points or less.
Mm-hmm.
Imagine if they would have only won 3 of those.
Yeah, they're not even in the tournament.
Well, and everybody's saying fire him, right?
Yeah.
That's how fickle this business is.
Yeah.
He's a great coach, right? And you know what? That kid that made that 3 last night, I can't think of his name, but the little guy with the hair.
Yeah.
Came off that ball screen and buried that 3.
Donaldson, Trey Donaldson.
Yeah, he did the same thing against Wisconsin.
Yep.
And he went coast to coast against Maryland.
Yep.
Imagine if he misses those 3 shots.
Yeah.
And just think about that. That's not Dusty May.
Sure.
That's not, Dusty didn't get him that shot. That was just late game ball screen, right?
Yeah.
Or I'm taking and going the length of the floor. There's 6 seconds left. There's nothing else we can do. I mean, there isn't a coach in America that wouldn't do what they did, right? Give it to your fastest guy and go get us a basket.
Right.
And if all 3 of those shots had missed, there's idiot fans out there to be calling for his job.
Yeah,
That's how fickle this thing is. And,
the crazy thing is that Texas A&M team they're going to play is exactly opposite of San Diego. I mean, they hammer the boards and they've got the size to hand. It's going to be if Michigan can beat Texas A&M, I would look for that. That's the one thing I was looking at Michigan is May did this twice at FAU. And so I think he might know a little bit about how to navigate the tournament. But, a lot of it, like you just said, Coach, is luck. Ball hanging on the rim.
But, hey, if you've taken a team to the Final Four, you can coach.
Yeah.
Trust me, you can coach.
Yeah.
You know what you're doing, man. People should be listening to you.
I would ask you one other question. So I know you're not taking any high school kids. Trey McKinney's going to Michigan next year. How do you think he's going to look?
I would have taken Trey McKinney. That strategy would have gone out the window if Trey McKinney would have called and said, "Hey, Coach, I'd love to come to Oakland." So, no, I think he's going to be really good. I mean, I think he's a tremendous player. He's from right down the road here.
Yeah.
I've known him for a few years.
Mm-hmm.
He's a really good kid. His high school coach is an Oakland grad.
Yep.
You know, I mean, I really, really like that kid. I think he's going to be an outstanding player at Michigan.
Yeah, he's the best player I've seen from the state of Michigan in, at least a dozen years.
Yeah, it's been a few years.
Yeah.
And most of the real good ones have been leaving, you know, like
Yes.
there's a guard down in Florida that was at Cass Tech.
Right.
Just as good.
Yeah.
Acuff, yeah.
Yeah.
No, we saw him
We
play
saw
up
him
here.
last year. Yeah.
Yeah, the head coach at Traverse City St. Francis has started a showcase,
Yeah.
and Cass Tech was up here 2 years ago, and Wayne Memorial was here the last 2 years. They got a couple of kids that can go.
Yeah, I can't talk because they're still recruitable, so I can't.
Okay.
If I could, I'd tell you they're really freaking good.
You don't have to tell me names.
Yeah,
You know, that game, I don't know, did you, I'm sure you at least watched, I don't know if you went to Breslin to see,
Yeah.
you
No,
know.
I didn't, but if any of those type of kids, I can't say if those kids wanted to, but I could say if any kid like that wanted to come, then
Sure.
I would probably change my view.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah. East Lansing and Wayne Memorial had a plethora of really good-looking kids on the floor in
Yeah.
that game. Coach Greg Campy, thanks so much for taking some time out for us. I know normally you would probably be. Will you go to the Final Four? That is, you know,
Yeah.
that's Jim Ratz. That all the coaches end up there. So you go from the JUCO national championship to San Antonio.
Yeah, well, I'll come home for a little bit and then go. Yeah, but yeah, we have our coaches convention
Right.
at the Final Four, and like we have a Division I head coaches meeting, and we parlay all that into that weekend. So yeah, most of us will be there, and I hope I'm there watching Michigan State. I think that'd be great for Izzo. So.
I've got it.
Yeah, it would be. Yeah.
It wouldn't surprise me, and we'll see. You know, Michigan will have to play Auburn if they beat Texas A&M, so they've got some
How about
interesting.
that?
Yeah.
That could come down to Michigan versus Michigan State to go to the Final Four. Wouldn't that be something?
Oh, that would be incredible.
It'll be a first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Coach Greg Campy from Oakland University Golden Grizzlies. Thanks so much, Coach, and best of luck on the portal trail instead of the recruiting trail, right? The
Appreciate
portal
you
trail.
guys.
All right.
Appreciate you, and I'll come on anytime you want. This was fun.
All right.
All right.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Coach.
All right. Bye-bye. It's our new business model, Rich.
It is. I talked to Greg Campy during
George Blaha last
Right.
week. I think I'm pretty sure Bill Belichick will be on next week. Don't hold me to that.
Right.
We are so way over that we'll head to break right now. We'll be back after these words from our fine partners on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by TVCAirport.com. It's time for Destination MLB.
Dreaming of the sun and sand? TVC Cherry Capital Airport will take you there. Florida beaches, the Caribbean, or the links in Phoenix? Fly nonstop on Allegiant, or with just one stop on American, Delta, or United. Seats are filling up fast. Up to the minute flight details at TVCAirport.com. It's been such an amazing winter at Shanty Creek Resort, they're already planning for next winter. Before you break out the swimsuit, buy your season ski pass for the 25-26 ski season at Shanty Creek. Right now, save up to 20% on your unlimited, unrestricted Super Season Pass to Shush Mountain. And weekday Super Saver passes are just $199 for super savings all season long. Buy your season ski pass for the 25-26 ski season at Shanty Creek. For more information, head to shantycreek.com. Now bring on the spring.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2025 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite Northern Michigan businesses, organizations, and professionals as Simply the Best. Nominate once daily in each category through Friday, May 9th. In 2024, Simply the Best broke records with nearly 15,000 nominations and more than 29,000 votes. Help your favorites stand out above the rest. Voting begins May 12th. So nominate now at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
Friday, April 4th at Soaring Eagle Casino. Los Lobos and Los Lonely Boys. The Brotherhood Tour. Tickets start at $47 and are on sale now at the Soaring Eagle box office and etix.com. April 4th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. East LA meets Texican. The Brotherhood Tour. Los Lobos and Los Lonely Boys. SoaringEagleCasino.com.
It's time for Destination NHL. Jerry Coyne in studio with Autumn McLaren, who is standing in for Kevin Klein, the much more intelligent and attractive spokesperson for TVCAirport.com. Autumn, still got a lot of hope for the Red Wings, and we've got a lot of road trips coming up.
Yeah, a lot of road trips, and I'm going to try to live up into those
those lofty standards.
Yes, of Kevin Klein, and not as much hockey knowledge as him, but hey, we're going to give it a shot, right?
But you got the flight knowledge. I got
the flights. That's all we care about.
Yeah,
right?
That's all we care about.
Great prices.
This is an airport, for Christ's sake.
It is. And we got some great deals headed out of Traverse City Airport, Cherry Capital Airport. You could head out and see the Las Vegas Golden Knights play the Red Wings. And that price is fantastic. It's running about $489 right now, right out of TVC.
And that game is happening on a Saturday, so you can probably get some good weekend rates at the hotels, stay a couple days in Sin City, and root on the Red Wings.
Yeah, you could head out tomorrow, and then the pricing that I found puts you back here right about Monday. So you could even escape for a quick weekend and be back in time for work on Monday.
Or they're actually out in that same area for the next couple days. You'd have to check with your carriers, like if you flew to Vegas and then to Utah or Colorado and then come back.
Yeah, you could jump around to those cities over more on the West Coast, and then they're back in St. Louis, or at least closer to home in St. Louis. And United will get you out there for a pretty good price at $460. And they play the St. Louis Blues on April 1st. So.
There you go. And then I know they've got that Florida swing coming up, and nobody gets down there cheaper than Allegiant.
Oh my goodness, these prices, I had to check a couple times when I was looking at them at Allegiant.com. So you can head out to see them play the Florida Panthers. That game is on April 10th. And you can get to Fort Lauderdale. They play in Sunrise, but it's near Fort Lauderdale. You can get there for $108.
Yeah.
Round trip.
Crazy.
I know.
Round trip.
It's kind of wild.
Yeah.
And then you can head over to Tampa and see them play the Tampa Bay Lightning on April 4th. That pricing, again, puts you just under $200. It's kind of great.
Yeah, just outside of that spring break window, and a great time still to be in Florida. You know, we're still going to be getting a couple more snowfalls here, so...
No.
I'm sorry.
Right? Don't say it. Don't put it out there in the universe. No.
I would edit that out, but it's the truth. I'm sorry. What's the website?
So the website is tvcairport.com. And then if you would like to book some of those Allegiant flights that we just talked about, you can go directly to allegiant.com. And make sure you're always clicking onto TVC as the hometown airport.
There you go. Thank you, Autumn McLaren. Well done.
Oh, thank you for having me.
There you go, Rich.
All right, Kevin's fired. He's gone.
She's not hard to look at, especially, I love Kev, but he's, not the most handsome man. So, and thank God he's not listening. Right. So he's in Saginaw, so I'm pretty sure he's not listening. But, flipping to the Red Wings, these next three games are going to tell the season. I mean, can they beat the Knights? Back-to-back games. They just beat, Vegas has the best record in the Western Conference, and the Wings played a great game, blanked them 3-0.
Yeah.
Then pooped a bet against the Capitals in the third period. Just played atrocious.
Yeah, and Washington, that's how they play. They've got the best plus-minus in that third period.
Yep.
They come on strong, and that's exactly what happened. Wings, gave defensively, just weren't nearly as disciplined in that third period, and they capitalized on it. They just did.
So, and you're talking about in this 3-game swing out west, they play Vegas tomorrow, and you can hear that game on Up North Sports Radio. Although I got to talk to JJ about it because Michigan's playing at 5:30, so we might join that in progress.
Yeah.
So we got to check that out. But then they play Utah, which they lost to. They shouldn't have. Utah has not been fantastic in their inaugural year in Salt Lake City, and then they play the Avalanche. And the way I've got it mathed out, they can only afford 2 losses the rest of the year.
That's backing yourself into a corner.
Yeah. Depending on how many ties they would get and that thing. But they can only really afford 2 flat-out 0-point losses. Right. They could, if they lose in overtime, that's a one thing. Right. They get a point. You get a point.
Exactly.
But if they go more than 2 games where they don't get a point, they're not going to make the playoffs.
It's just
they're 4 out now.
Hey, you're right.
Yeah.
They need to climb the ladder yet. So it's it's been disappointing. We had that burst initially with the coaching change.
Yep,
Man,
exactly. You thought the season was over. Yeah. And McLaren comes in, or McCall. It's not McLaren.
Yeah,
McClellan. Todd McClellan, and now, I don't know if it's a case where. A lot of times, like, take a look at the game last night. How much energy San Diego had to expend to get back in that game. And you could tell they were tired.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. That's why he missed the layup. He didn't have the legs to get a double jump on that.
Exactly right.
And I thought that might happen. They whittled down a 15-point. Did they ever tie the game?
Yeah, well, they actually took that on that one corner. They took a 2-point lead.
They did, yeah.
And it was just like, oh no! But Michigan came down and buried the 3 then, and then they took the lead right back. So it was a very short.
But I don't know if the Wings expanded so much energy to come back from the horrific start that they've run out of gas. I mean, there's no doubt that Raymond has not looked the same since the Four Nations Cup. He hasn't.
And that's been the measuring stick since they went into that red hot, and then coming out of that, even though we only had 2 players that played in the whole, Four Nations.
They've lost 7 of their last 10 games.
They just lost it. It's like that. Whatever that was, they've lost it since then, and it's just been. And
you thought it'd be the opposite because they only had 2 players in there, so you get all these kids to rest.
Right.
And it just, for whatever reason. I'm not writing it off, so I'm not going to say, well, and then you got to fire Stevie Eiserman. I don't want to get into that.
Yeah, I don't want to go down that rabbit hole.
Yeah. We don't have time to go through the rabbit hole. We had to.
That's right.
That's right. So when we return here on Up North Sports Radio, we'll talk about the much improved partner that the Wings have at the Little Caesars Arena, a team you might have heard of. They're called the Detroit Pistons. Yes, they still play basketball.
Sports on the Michigan News Network.
Michigan basketball survived a late-night upset bid in the NCAA tournament, winning 68-65 over UC San Diego in Denver in the round of 64. Vlad Golden putting up 14 points, Roddy Gale Jr. 11 off the bench, and Trey Donaldson hitting a big three-pointer late to help fend off their opponent.
We're desperate to win. We want to continue to play. We don't want our season to be over. And when it's time to make big plays, when the opportunity presents itself, I just want to attack it as best as possible if it's presenting itself to me.
Next up for U of M, they'll face Texas A&M in the next round tomorrow afternoon for the right to earn a trip to the Sweet 16. Michigan State held an open practice in Cleveland yesterday. They'll take the floor tonight against Bryant University at 10 p.m. for their opener. The Lions added depth in their secondary, re-signing corner Khalil Dorsey and inking corner Rock Ya-Sin, who played in 13 games with the 49ers last year. Detroit now returning 4 of their starters in the secondary from last season. Chris Villar, Michigan News Network.
Hi, I'm Ryan Blaney, a third-generation race car driver, and we dedicate a lot of our time to going as fast as possible. My grandpa Lou is the reason why my dad and I started racing, and I'm really proud to follow in his tracks. But when my grandpa was diagnosed with Alzheimer's, it was a very unexpected bump in the road for us. I've learned a lot on this journey with my grandpa Lou, and the memories of my grandpa will always be with me. It's important to notice if older family members are acting differently, experiencing problems with their memory, or having trouble with routine tasks. Talking about Alzheimer's can be really tough, but if you notice something, have a conversation with your loved one. Encourage them to see a doctor or offer to go with them. Early detection of Alzheimer's can give your family time to explore support services, make a plan for the future, and access available treatments. The Alzheimer's Association provides care, support, and research to help you take control of the situation with your family.
Dreaming of the sun and sand? TVC Cherry Capital Airport will take you there. Florida beaches, the Caribbean, or the links in Phoenix? Fly non-stop on Allegiant, or with just one stop on American, Delta, or United. Seats are filling up fast. Up to the minute flight details at tvcairport.com. It's been such an amazing winter at Shanty Creek Resort, they're already planning for next winter. Before you break out the swimsuit, buy your season ski pass for the 25-26 ski season at Shanty Creek. Right now, save up to 20% on your unlimited, unrestricted Super Season Pass to Shush Mountain. And weekday Super Saver passes are just $199 for super savings all season long. Buy your season ski pass for the 25-26 ski season at Shanty Creek. For more information, head to shantycreek.com. Now bring on the spring. It's been such an amazing winter at Shanty Creek Resort, they're already planning for next winter. Before you break out the swimsuit, buy your season ski pass for the 25-26 ski season at Shanty Creek. Right now, save up to 20% on your unlimited, unrestricted Super Season Pass to Shush Mountain. And weekday Super Saver passes are just $199 for super savings all season long. Buy your season ski pass for the 25-26 ski season at Shanty Creek. For more information, head to shantycreek.com. Now bring on the spring.
The Traverse City Record Eagles Simply the Best 2025 Reader's Choice Contest is now open. Nominate your favorite Northern Michigan businesses, organizations, and professionals as Simply the Best. Nominate once daily in each category through Friday, May 9. In 2024, Simply the Best broke records with nearly 15,000 nominations and more than 29,000 votes. Help your favorites stand out above the rest. Voting begins May 12th. So nominate now at record-eagle.com/simplythebest.
Hot folks, Jim Jeffers from Michigan Trailers in Traverse City, Northern Michigan's value leader in utility trailer sales. We feature SureTrack professional open and enclosed trailers. For commercial, recreational, and homeowners, nothing beats a SureTrack. Our huge inventory, all value priced and backed by a 3-year warranty, are perfect to solve all your hauling needs. Michigan Trailers and SureTrack. Smart, confident, proven. See us today on US 31 South across from Menards, Traverse City, or visit us online at michigantrailers.com.
Stop in to Jim Warnick GMC to check out all the new GMC models. From the smooth and quiet ride of the GMC Sierra to a great selection of SUVs to include the Acadia, Terrain, and Yukon. No matter what your needs and budget, you'll find the right GMC to check all the boxes. All this in an amazing service department, sales team, and finance group makes shopping Jim Warnick GMC in Gaylord the best choice. Visit WarnickGMC.com. GMC, we are professional grade.
Taking no prisoners. Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo. Saturday, May 10th at Soaring Eagle Casino and Resort. Bringing the swagger. Tickets start at $50 and are on sale now at the box office or online at etix.com. The legends rock at Soaring Eagle. Pat Benatar and Neil Giraldo. Saturday, May 10th, SoaringEagleCasino.com.
Welcome back to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio. It's time to hang out one last time for the ski season with Lindsay Southwell at Shanty Creek. Lindsay, what a ski season it's been. Lindsay, are you there?
I am.
What a ski season we've had this year.
I know, and you know what they say, all good things must come to an end.
Yeah, unfortunately, well, sooner or later, you can't even ski in Colorado, so...
In Michigan, it happens just a bit sooner.
A little bit sooner, but you guys should have a fantastic weekend to end the season today, tomorrow. And tomorrow's the last day, right? No skiing Sunday?
Correct, yeah. Tomorrow's our last day of skiing, so we'll be skiing under the lights tonight and tomorrow night, just to try to get our last turns in before the season's gone.
Yeah, but, you know, we had a little bit more snow, and it's going to be fantastic conditions today especially.
Oh, absolutely. You know, we just barely missed our all-time snow record here at the resort. Our record's 245 inches, and with yesterday's snow, we were at 230. So it's been really a fantastic winter season. We've got plenty of base on the hill. Conditions are fantastic. So it's a great way to kind of kick off spring break.
Yeah. Although you probably should have stayed open for spring break. You'd probably get a few people out there.
You know.
I'm not going to say...
Most people in Michigan prefer to go to warmer climates during spring break, or at least that's what we found. But for those who are diehard skiers, we're open for them.
Yeah. So, conditions for today and tomorrow just darn near perfect. although it's going to get much colder tomorrow. In fact, we might have some snow tomorrow.
Even better. Fresh powder in March can't get better than that.
No.
So, I want to make sure Rich knew this is his last opportunity for the prime rib buffet.
He's sobbing.
I know.
Literally sobbing.
He's going to have to wait until golf season after this weekend.
Yeah.
So, he can make a weekend of it. Do a little staycation. We've got $99 lodging all weekend this weekend. You can
Wow.
come, ski, sleep, eat. I mean, can't beat that.
No, but his cardiologist is kind of happy that he's taking a break from the constant buffet.
He's got like a month.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a tough deal for Rich. Prime, they get the breakfast, a pile of bacon so high that you could ski off of it, and then, 6 hours later into the prime rib.
Yeah, I know, but at least he's working it off on the slopes.
No, he's not. He'll be sitting on the chair. Now, this is a thing that I recommend anybody to do tomorrow. Is you can ski a little bit, you can get the breakfast, ski a little bit, but more just sit in Ivan's or one of the other lodges and watch basketball.
Well, you can do that too.
And then one last thing, Lindsay, and you don't have it on your sheet, but I hear it on our radio. It's the season pass sale right now for next year.
Yeah, and these are the best rates you're going to find. We're coming off a spectacular season. We're hoping next season's just as great. And so if you are on the fence about it, I urge you to get it now because we won't go any lower than what they are right now.
No, it's fantastic. And it's been a fantastic season. We love our partnership with you at Shanty Creek. And we'll take a little time off, wait for the snow to clear, and start talking golf conditions here coming up in another month and a half.
It won't be long.
I know. I'm looking for. I saw Steve at the Novi Golf Show, and I know they're already booking a lot of rounds at Shanty Creek for golf.
Yeah, so if you're thinking about it, book those now too because they're filling up fast.
Especially the weekends. Yes, sir. Yes, ma'am. Just the best all-weather resort here in northern Michigan. Thank you, Lindsay.
Thank you, guys.
All right. There you go. The end of the ski season, a records-breaking ski season here in northern Michigan. And
thank God for that. They needed that. All the resorts around northern Michigan for sure needed a good old-fashioned winter.
Yeah, and they got it for sure. Rich, we're getting a good old-fashioned Detroit Pistons basketball.
We are.
This team can defend.
It sure can, man. Those young athletic guys, the Asur Thompsons, the Holloways, the different guys that when you drafted them, they weren't like real proficient offensively, but man, I tell you, they're contributing on the offensive side, but defense is where they're athletic, they're long, they're wing players that we've needed for a long time, and they're not afraid to take on the best in the NBA.
No, you know who played? Was it Tuesday? No, Wednesday. They were on national TV and they played the Heat, and it's the first time I've watched a Piston game from beginning to end in a while.
Mm-hmm.
And Miami wanted that game bad.
Oh, bad. They wanted to end that losing streak.
They had an 8-game losing streak going on. The arena was packed with loud Miami fans.
And Tyler Hero went off. Bam Adebayo went off. They had monster games.
But, Michigan, the Pistons made some big stops. Cade Cunningham knew he was on national TV.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, he did.
He had an iffy start to that game.
Yep.
Turned the ball over a few times. You know who had played super good in that game was Tobias Harris.
Yes.
He looks really good.
That veteran leadership, that steadying force that just comes out. You know what you're going to get from Tobias every time, and he's just that calming effect. When things aren't going good, Tobias just kind of levels things up.
I think Tim Hardaway Jr. was a little confused. He played okay. He didn't have a great game, but his dad was sitting with Pat Riley the whole game. He's like, what is going on here?
Do we have a conflict of interest here? What's going on?
Well, Hardaway's jersey is in the ceiling at Miami.
For sure.
So, yeah. But, this is a basketball team. You know, I don't want to keep beating a dead horse. I don't like the NBA basketball. You should have watched that game. The Pistons are on the right track.
They certainly are.
Yeah.
Yeah, and they play a beat-up Dallas Mavericks team tonight.
Yeah, they do. So they could sneak into that fourth position.
Oh, yeah, because Milwaukee and Indiana are but I just see Indiana's getting a little healthier. Your man Matherin's came back.
Yeah, but Indiana has won their last 3 games by the skin of their teeth.
Know it.
Unbelievable bad turnovers by the team that they're playing.
I just couldn't believe it because I'm at the point, like you said, watching the standings, wanting the Pistons to win, of course, every night, but then wanting the Indiana and Milwaukee to lose, so they even get a better seed.
Yeah, they. So the next 3 games, they should win them all.
Yeah.
They play like you said, they play the Mavs tonight at 8:30. You can hear that game on Up North Sports Radio 101.1 right here. You're home for the Pistons when they're not blocked out by the Red Wings.
Right.
Then they play the Pelicans, who they just beat.
Yes, at home.
At home, and then they play the Spurs, who are tanking like crazy now with Wembayama and what's his name's out too, the kid that they picked up from Sacramento.
Right.
Yeah. So those 3 games look pretty good. Then they've got the Cavs, the T-Wolves, and the Thunder.
Things change quickly.
Yeah. So. When the dust settles in a few days, Pistons could be sitting in the 4th spot, and the Knicks are falling apart without Jalen Brunson. So
without Brunson, of course, Milwaukee's still without their Porter guy because he was suspended for all those games. He comes back for the last couple games, I believe, of the regular season. So need to take advantage of this right now.
Yep. When we return here on Up North Sports Radio, we'll talk about the Detroit Tigers and baseball season for real right around the corner. Here on Up North Sports Radio's Friday Faceoff, brought to us by TVCAirport.com.
By doctors and audiologists. A high-quality, FDA-registered hearing aid for a fraction of the price. No costly doctor visits, no expensive and time-consuming fittings, no bulky, old-fashioned hearing aids that cost thousands. The MD Hearing Neo is just $297 per pair. It's rechargeable and fits discreetly in your ear. Even better, it lets you hear what you've been missing at a savings of more than 90% off the average price of a traditional hearing aid.
Try MD Hearing risk-free for 45 days by calling 800-918-3920. Plus, you'll get free shipping. Call now, 800-918-3920. That's 800-918-3920.
Are you paying too much for term life insurance? There is a tremendous price war in the term life industry. Rates have dropped dramatically in the past few years. For example, a man aged 45, non-smoker, can get $1 million of coverage for $75 per month, level rate for 10 years. Or a man aged 50, non-smoker, can obtain $500,000 of coverage for a monthly premium of $110, level rate for 20 years. That's right, guaranteed level rate for 20 years. If you're a smoker, we have great rates available for you as well. At Term Busters, we specialize in policies of $500,000 and above. If you're looking for new or replacement term life insurance, call today for a quote. 1-800-908-7636. You're probably paying more than you should. Call 1-800-908-7636. Remember, 1-800-908-7636.
All right, welcome back to Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by Cherry Capital Airport. Rich, is Torque going to make the team?
Yeah, I think he is, JC, for sure. I mean, he has had such a red-hot spring and we need that right-handed bat, that power bat, that Torkelson. Hopefully he comes back to the Torkelson of 2 years ago. And I tell you, every time I listen to or watch a Tigers preseason game, he's hitting the ball hard. He's getting extra base hits. He's doing everything he needs to do to definitely make this team out of Lakeland.
Yeah, that if they can get reliable power out of him and a decent batting average like he did 2 years ago, they need that badly.
They do.
And luckily, they tried him in the outfield.
Yeah,
I think you're going to
into right field, first base.
Yep.
They're DH and Yeah, and we need that because
with the injuries, absolutely.
Right, with both Vierling and of course Parker Meadows. But the good thing is they've resumed conditioning drills.
Yep.
They're still not throwing. Either one of them are but they are starting out to ramp them up in conditioning drills. So it's going in a positive way.
Talk about going in a positive way. Glaber Torres has had a really good spring.
He has really come on strong, hasn't he? After a little slow start in the very beginning, man, from the middle on, he has been red hot, and you can see what his bat will do in this lineup.
So when Rich and I are here next week, we will have the first Tiger game of the regular season in the bag.
That's right.
And I don't know if you've seen it on ESPN, but they're already previewing that game on Thursday night between the Dodgers and Tarek Skubal.
That's right.
They are they are already previewing that start to the Major League Baseball season as the Cy Young Award winner, the hottest young pitcher in baseball, having to take on the world champs and a guy you might have heard of named Shohei Ohtani.
Yeah, because they've already started. In the Japanese games that have been played, Dodgers started off 2-0, beat the Cubs twice over in Japan, but they'll come back to the States here and resume the regular season baseball.
So that opening day game, I will be broadcasting live from the new Iron Pig Smokehouse, not the one downtown on Main Street, but the one on Old 27 across from Otsego Lake. We'll be there from 5 to 7, leading up to the 7 o'clock start of that game. They're going to have their Coney Bar, which is all you can eat Conies, and they have a great Coney Island there. But the brand new menu that they have at the Iron Pig Smokehouse, not only all your favorite barbecue stuff, but they've got great fish on the menu, some steaks. It's a fantastic menu. It's going to be a great time. We encourage all you folks, whether you're baseball fans or not, to come out after work at the Iron Pig, and you can win a pair of tickets to a Tiger game in April. So,
hey, the opener for the Tigers to get on the road, but a chance to get tickets because they're going to be. I have a feel they're going to be a hot commodity.
They're going to be a hot commodity, and as we mentioned one last time, the red hot Detroit Pistons on the radio tonight here at 8:30 on Up North Sports Radio against the Dallas Mavs. So tune in for that. You've got Michigan basketball and Red Wing hockey tomorrow. So this is your home for live play-by-play sports in Northern Michigan. Thanks, Rich.
Yep, thank you, Jason.
All right, we'll be heading over to CBS Radio. Thanks for joining us here on Friday Faceoff on Up North Sports Radio, brought to us by TVCAirport.com.
My dude, Kevin Todd's going to be on in 30 minutes. Give some gambling advice. I think yesterday, he implored us, take Michigan. Take Michigan. I think they were 2.5-point favorites. Don't be afraid of it, and they won by 3. It's called a cover, baby. Let's go. He's going to try to steer us in the same direction later in the show. We're doing buy or sell now. I'll get to that in just a second. We're moving some things around. Bum of the week at the end of the show. And by the way, shame on me. I just completely missed this. I don't know why. No excuse. There was a Jackie Robinson story in which the Department of Defense scrubbed that from their website, and I should discuss that. Outrageous and ridiculous. And they have reinstated the history of Jackie Robinson serving this country as well. They should have. But they are going to be nominated. Someone who, I don't know, whoever did that will be nominated at some point. Bum of the week coming up later in the show. Tom, doesn't it feel a little weird I'm about to throw to buy or sell? Does it feel a little? We usually do a guest here.
Yeah, I'm all out of sorts here. I wanted to call a guest. There is no guest. I'm all mixed up.
Look, not to pull things back on the curtain too much. We had a really good man who was going to come on here. But that good man was busy. I understand. You get busy this time of year. Whether you're a good man or you're not a good man, this is a good man. You know what I'm saying?
I really do. I really do.
So in that case, let's do early version of buy or sell.
What side will Bill take on the biggest issues in the world of sports? It's time for today's edition of Buy or Sell on Writer Than You.
All right, here we go, Bill. New time for buy or sell, but we're still starting things off in the NFL as usual. New Chargers running back and former Steelers running back Najee Harris had this to say about Pittsburgh's offense during his 4 seasons as a Steeler.
It was just a team where, we lost Ben, we lost a lot of the O-line. We just didn't know anything on offense, really. We didn't have identity. We had a young guy coming out quarterback. I was young, the team was young, and I really didn't have nobody to almost learn from the offensive side. I think the veteran guy on that team was like a 2-3 year vet, and that's really nothing. You know what I mean? Like, he's still learning himself, and I'm coming in and I'm just trying to look for people to pick their brain off of, and it was just defensive guys.
Just defensive guys. Bill, buy or sell Najee Harris's comments there are an indictment on head coach Mike Tomlin.
Buy. And I know you're leaning into this, and I love it. I have an emerging theory, a view, a rising level of critical analysis on Mike Tomlin that I'm putting together. And we're going to hit you with that at some point next week on the show. But in the short term, suffice it to say, that organization under that coach has not followed the critically required model in the NFL of either being a top-level offensive-minded head coach, see Kyle Shanahan, or you don't have to be, or as a defensive-minded head coach, bringing in, not being afraid to bring in, identify, and empower, because they might leave and go to your rival or somewhere else, take some of your shine, a top-level offensive coordinator that's not your specialty. See Dan Campbell, who now in his division has to coach against Ben Johnson. So, yes, I do think it's an indictment on Mike Tomlin, and we're going to dive into that more next week when we have some space to breathe between the madness of this March.
All right, Bill, let's keep things in the NFL and specifically on the offensive side of the ball. Shedeur Sanders did not work out for teams yesterday at a joint Big 12 Pro Day. There was some talk that he may work out, he was going to work out, but then in the end he did not. Instead, Bill, he'll throw at Colorado's Pro Day on April 4th. As we know, there's been very critical reports from sources, unnamed sources, by the way, about Shedeur after he's spoken to certain NFL teams. Those reports, his father Dion called yesterday, he called them lies. Bill, buy or sell, you would be hesitant to draft Shedeur Sanders number 1 or number 2 overall if you were the Tennessee Titans or the Cleveland Browns.
I'll say this, I'm hesitant to draft anyone because a lot of these guys fail, but you still have to. So I would really want to parse, but it's not Shedeur specific, so sell.
Sell.
I think the problem here is not that Shedeur, that the red flags, there are red flags. There's red flags with every guy. Hell, there weren't red flags with Trevor Lawrence and it didn't work. I think the issue is that if it doesn't work for Cam Ward, it's going to be labeled, doesn't always work. If it doesn't work with Shedeur, it's going to be labeled, what an arrogant kid. Dion's a problem. May not be fair. May not be true. Shedeur could just fail because guys fail, right? What is Dion going to say then? What's his line of reasoning going to be then? I don't mind people that talk a lot. It's fine. I talk a lot of smack when I play sports. You got to be able to back it up. I don't follow that rule either. You got to be able to back it up. And if you don't, it makes for some awkward conversations, and that could be coming not because Shedeur's a problem, but because most quarterbacks taken with the top pick in the NFL draft don't succeed, or at least a very, very high percentage.